Okay, yes, okay, cool. Alrighty, guys. So today, do you guys already have your books pulled up online? Okay, awesome. So today we are going to read a book called The Great Fire. Now, when you look at this book, what is the first thing that you guys notice? Yes, Lydia.
The fire, for sure.
The fire. Do you guys think that this is based on a true event? Do you think it's a fictional event? What do you think's going on?
It looks like it would be true
Okay, what makes you think that?
because the cover looks more like a photograph than like a sketch.
Okay, cool. Alrighty, so before we go ahead and we start reading about the book, I want to go over the history about this book. So it is real. It is a real thing that happened, and it happened in Chicago, so it's not too far away from it. It's like 9 hours away from here. And it was a huge, huge, huge fire that burned in October 8th, like from October 8th to the 10th in 1871. It destroyed like thousands of buildings and killed about 300 people. It was really, really crazy. It created about $200 million in damages. And then one of the reasons that it caught so well was there was a cow in a barn and that it had not rained for 6 weeks. So all of the wood in the city was extremely dry. And this lady who owned this cow, she had a lantern in her barn. The cow kicked it over and tipped it over. The barn caught on fire, which made the entire city catch on fire. And it did that for 2 days. And because of this fire, there was a big, huge outbreak of looting, rioting, lawlessness. And so on October 11th, martial law was declared, and that was lifted weeks later. Now, I don't know if you guys remember, but we almost declared martial law when the pandemic originally happened. Do you guys remember that?
Mm-mm.
Oh yeah, we almost had to declare martial law because it was spreading so quickly. So when martial law is declared, it means a big event has transpired. Does anybody know what martial law is?
Basically, like the government slash military would come in and be like your law enforcers for all the states, all the cities, which normally is up to a state by state basis.
Perfect. Yeah. So basically, like just like you said, the military will come in and they will they will pretend to be our officers, and we have to start answering to them in all emergency services. This only happens in extreme cases, so when it's enforced, it can take away a lot of the rights of people. So that was something that was some historical information that I thought was really, really important that you guys know about before reading this book. It was a real thing that happened. And when we're going through this book, we're going to see a couple of words. The two words that we're going to see is the word consuming and harrowing. Now, when you see the word consuming, what is your immediate thought of the definition?
Did you say harrowing?
Yeah, but we're going to talk about consuming first.
Okay. Consuming, I just think of like taking, like excessively.
Taking excessively. So how could that be? How could you incorporate that with fire? What would that mean?
Probably like destroying like a lot of things, really like rapidly.
Cool. Okay, good. And then I have a sentence from the book, and it says, many survivors wrote about their harrowing experiences in books, newspapers, and magazine articles, or letters to friends and relatives. What do you think the word harrowing might mean in this sentence?
Like maybe stressful, scary, like as if it's like a big long saga to be told.
Yeah. So when we hear about those words, we can immediately think like this event was really crazy and scary. And so when we're reading about that, I just want to keep that in mind, okay? And then the last thing I want to do is I want you guys to tell me what this word right here means, because this is going to be a huge part of what we're doing today. It says synonym.
Insane.
Means the same?
Mhm.
Okay. The exact definition that I have is a word or phrase that means exactly or nearly the same as another word or phrase in the same language. For example, shut is a synonym for close. So what might a synonym for the word fire be?
Flame.
Yeah.
Oh.
Good job, guys. Great job. Bouncing off that. Yeah. So yeah, flame. That's a good one. Okay, so when we're reading this, I want you guys to have a pen and a paper on stack. Do you guys have anything like that?
Mhm.
Can I do it in my phone notes?
That's perfectly fine. And
Okay.
I want you guys to do a tally mark for each synonym for the word fire that you see while we're reading this book. And we'll read it together. We're going to do popcorn reading. So are you guys comfortable with that? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And whenever you see something that comes across the word fire, I want you guys to go ahead and make a tally mark that you see it. Could be a sentence that refers to it. It could just be a single word. Whatever you think, it's totally okay. And then if we were like in an actual classroom, I would take this as an exit slip to make sure that you guys understand synonyms. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and read pages 11 through 18. So we're not gonna read too much today. But Lydia, I'm gonna go ahead and ask you to read the introduction on page 11 for me.
Okay.
And
Out
remember,
loud, right?
Mhm.
Okay. The fire that swept through the heart of Chicago began on Sunday night, October 8th, 1871. The Great Fire would burn for the rest of Sunday, all of Monday, and into the early hours of Tuesday with real opposition. During these 31 hours of terror, over 100,000 people were forced to flee the consuming flames. Many survivors wrote about their harrowing experiences in books, newspaper and magazine articles, or letters to friends and relatives. You will meet a number of survivors in this book, most of them just once or twice and only briefly. Several individuals have slightly longer accounts, including Catherine and Patrick O'Leary, in whose barn the fire began. James Hildreth, an ex-alderman who decided that the best way to save Chicago was by blowing up parts of it, and Julia Lemos, a widow who single-handedly saved her 5 small children and her elderly parents. Finally, you will be able to follow 4 characters in great detail. In order of appearance, they are Joseph E. Chamberlain, a 20-year-old reporter for the Chicago Evening Post, Horace White, the editor-in-chief of the Chicago Tribune, Alexander Freer, who was visiting relatives at the time of the fire, and Claire Innes, a 12-year-old whose family had only recently moved to the city. Through the eyes of all these people, you will see the fire from many distinct vantage points and feel a wide range of emotions as the hot breath of the fire draws nearer and nearer.
Good job. That was really good. You have advanced for a fifth grader. Right, Lisa, do you want to go ahead and read the first page of our first chapter?
Chapter 1, A City Ready to Burn. It was Sunday and an unusually warm evening for October 8th, so Daniel Pegleg Sullivan left his stifling little house in the west side of Chicago and went to visit neighbors. One of his stops was at the shingled cottage of Patrick and Catherine O'Leary. The one-legged Sullivan remembered getting to the O'Leary's house at around 8 o'clock, but left after only a few minutes because the O'Leary family was already in bed. Both Patrick and Catherine had to be up very early in the morning. He to set off, I think that's an error. He set off for his job as a laborer. Oh, he to set off for his job as a laborer, she to milk the 5 cows and then deliver the milk to neighbors. Sullivan ambled down the stretch of land between the O'Learys and their neighbor, crossed the street, and sat down on the wooden sidewalk in front of Thomas White's house. After adjusting his wooden leg to make himself comfortable, he leaned back against the White's fence to enjoy the night. The wind coming off the prairie had been strong all day, sometimes gusting wildly, and leaves scuttled along the street. The sound of laughter and fiddle music drifted through the night.
So why might this be an important detail for the story? The part that says, The wind coming off the prairie had been strong all day, sometimes gusting wildly, and leaves scuttled along the street.
Well, we can foreshadow because we know the book is about a fire that if there's a lot of wind, it's going to pick up the flames and bring it really fast down the road to other places.
So you're inferring that that's going to happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, perfect. Awesome. So I'll go ahead and read the next page. So it says, a party was going on at the McLaughlins to celebrate the arrival of a relative from Ireland. Another neighbor, Dennis Rogan, dropped by the O'Learys at 8:30, but he too left when he learned that his family was in bed. 15 minutes later, Sullivan decided to go home. As the driver of a wagon, he would need every ounce of strength coming morning. It was while pushing himself up that Sullivan first saw the fire, a single tongue of flame shooting outside of the O'Leary's barn. Sullivan didn't hesitate a second. Fire! 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 He shouted as loudly as he could, running clumsily along the dirt street. Sullivan made his way directly to the barn. There was no time to stop for help. The building was already burning fiercely, as he knew that in addition to 5 cows, the O'Learys had a calf and a horse in there. Lydia, do you want to read the next 3 paragraphs?
Yeah. Give me 1 second. I couldn't get it pulled up on my phone, so I'm trying to find it. What page is that on again?
This is page 15.
Okay. Is it the he untied?
Yes.
Okay. He untied the ropes of 2 cows, but the frightened animals did not move. On the other side of the barn, another cow and the horse were tied to the wall, straining to get loose. Sullivan took a step toward him, then realized that the fire had gotten around behind him and might cut off any chance of escape in a matter of seconds. The heat was fiercely intense and blinding, and in his rush to flee, Sullivan slipped on the uneven floorboards and fell with a thud. He struggled to get up, and as he did, Sullivan discovered that his wooden leg had gotten stuck between 2 boards and come off. Instead of panicking, he began hopping toward where he thought the door was. Luck was with him. He had gone a few feet when the O'Leary's calf bumped into him, and Sullivan was able to throw his arms around its neck. Together, a man and calf managed to find the door in safety, both frightened, both badly singed.
Oh my gosh, do you guys think singed could be a synonym for fire?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what do you guys think it means based off of the text that we just read?
Well, I think singed is definitely a synonym for burned, but I don't think it's a synonym for fire.
Oh, okay.
Because singed is like, it can either be a verb or an adjective, and fire is a noun.
Oh, okay, that's a good point. Alrighty, do you want to read the next paragraph?
Sure. A shed attached to the barn was already engulfed in flames. It combined 2 tons of coal for the winter and large supply of kindling wood. Fire ran along the dry grass and leaves and took hold of a neighbor's fence. The heat from the burning barn, shed, and fence was so hot that the O'Leary's house, 40 feet away, began to smolder. Neighbors rushed from their homes, many carrying buckets or pots of water. The sound of music and merrymaking stopped abruptly, replaced by the shout of fire. It would be a warning cry heard thousands of times during the next 31 hours.
Awesome. And then we're going to turn the page and we're going to see a picture of Chicago at the time. And then when we turn the page, it's going to be that same picture. And then we'll read the last part, but there is another picture of Chicago right there. So it says, Chicago in 1871. Oh, actually, this is the end of our reading. Sorry. My bad. So in total, how many tally marks did you guys end up getting for words that kind of mean the same thing as fire or synonyms for fire?
I think I definitely missed a few. Like, whenever I was reading, I wasn't making tallies, but whenever you guys were reading, I took down like 8. But I know there had to be more that I might have missed.
That's okay. And what about you, Lisa?
I just had 5,
Five.
but I just had 5. Um, but again, like there were some that I wasn't sure if we were counting if it was the same word repeated or
Yeah,
not.
that makes sense. So what words did you guys have that meant the same, that were synonyms to fire? You can go
Well,
if you
I
want.
put heat as one of them because it was using the word heat to describe like the noun of what was happening inside.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah, I had definitely like flame, that one. Let's see.
I had one like heat, flame, burning, fire, stuff like that. I just wanted to make sure that you guys totally were able to grasp the information on what a synonym is. And I wanted you to be able to read through this book and find other words that mean the same thing. And then I just wanted to get you guys to understand about the importance of the Great Fire. So when you guys are on your own during reading time today, I want you to go ahead and read pages 18 through 28. And then we're going to go ahead and come back. I want you to find some more synonyms for the word fire, and we'll go back and talk about that later. Great job, guys. Okay.
Good